It's all possible. You know what? It's have fun, experiment. The key thing is that tier 4 isn't really that fun because they limit what you can do, but they're trying to introduce you into it slowly, right? Tier 6 is kind of an okay because you have all the tools. You've got the torpedo bombers and you've got the unsummon fighter planes. Is okay, right? And it's kind of, you know, it's your first proper tiering, and that's okay, and that's kind of fun, right? The tier 8 carriers are not fun because they constantly get dragged into tier 10s, at least on the public test, and it sucks because if you play tier 8s versus tier 10 carriers and you have to play against tier 10 ships, it's not fun at all. If you play the tier 10 carriers, well, you're already top tier and you've got all the abilities and power and damage and all the fancy things, it's actually quite enjoyable to play the tier 10s. The tier 6s and the tier 10s for me are the most fun, and at the moment it's the Japanese ones. Thank you very much for the sub, V-Thing. So that's great. However, there are still caveats. There are still things I do not like. I have never not said that I don't like the CV rework. As a general, well, yeah, I've said that, but let me rephrase that. There are many elements of the CV rework which are good. There are many CV elements which are bad. Okay. Now the shallow gameplay and the repetitiveness might be outdone by the fact that there are many different ways of attacking, and learning to do those type of attack runs is interesting. So that's where it kind of slightly becomes less shallow. The thing that's still bad though is the sequential air control. I can maneuver my carrier, use the consumable. Well, I can't use the consumables because they're automated, but I can maneuver the carrier as I want. I then take off planes, right? And those planes can then fly around. And if I want to micro the carrier, I go into global map mode. I look down and I autopilot. I have no say over the speed. Sometimes the autopilot will make me go in reverse. I can't go fast or live. I can't manipulate the speed. That's it. The best thing I can do with autopilot is zigzag maneuver, so it makes it harder for people to torp me, right? If you're going to let me go from plane to top mode to autopilot the carrier, why not just let me control the carrier? Let me go from the plane back to the carrier, micro the carriers I want, or use the consumables that I want without, you know, ability basically to turn off auto consumable usage. That would be great. Micro the carriers I want, and then go back to my planes. And those planes don't need to loiter or keep flying where they were. They can come back to the carrier and just let me jump back to the planes. Now, I've complained about this to Sub Octavian, and he said basically, no, that's too RTSA, we don't want to do that. But the fact is, you're left in the ability to autopilot the carrier. It's still RTSA if you're going to do that. You might as well just let me bloody control the carrier. That's where we are. And then the consumable usage, as I said, I do not like the ultimate consumable usage. As soon as I am plane detected, boom, on-call fighter plane catapults are up. If you're a noob and you want these things, great, leave that on, have it on by default. But an experienced player will not want to have his on-summon carrier fighter cap and his on-use consumable damage control party used whenever the game dictates it. Whenever someone gets a fire flood or damages the engine or whatever, or whenever it gets air detected, boom, instant air catapult. Now, don't get me wrong, the air catapult lasts like 600-700 seconds. It's ridiculous. But if someone else is being attacked, I don't want to summon mine. Maybe I don't want to do it, right? So those are the two key elements. They're like the straw that broke the camel's back for me. They're like just a bit too far. You could be really good if you had those two elements. The rest of it is reasonably okay. Yes, the tier 4 game experience is pretty diabolically horrific. It's just crap. And that's why I'm concerned about new players coming in, because if you check the tech tree out, carriers now come off the destroyer line. Surprise, surprise. And we only have half carriers. Is this going to be fun and engaging enough for people to want to stay and play? You know, because the tier 4 experience is bad. If you are never played carrier before and you don't have the ships ready, because, you know, you can keep them, and you're playing CV for the first time and you're on the whole show or you're on the Langley, you might not have a fun time. I'd honestly recommend going whole show because the AP bombs might actually get you some damage. Stick with it until tier 6. If you're a new player and you're playing carrier for the first time, stick with it to tier 6. Tier 6 is when you actually get the on-summon fire abilities and you get the torpedo bombers. Try out then and see what you think, right? Until then, play all your tier 5s, 7s, and 9s if you've got them. Enjoy it. Play your premium ships. We still don't know how the premium ships are going to be, but anyway.